Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Welcome back. So hopefully I won't speak too much this time. This is actually the second time I'm recording. I forgot I muted my mic. So let's go to get started, and now I can summarize what I said. I only watched like maybe 5 minutes and realized that my mic was muted.
Sir, actually, currently I want to finish off my few papers left and then I want to explore other things. But in my house, the environment that is being created is like they'll randomly start talking about, like, my mother has already told her sister to look for somebody, and she regularly updates me about this boy, and I have never seen the picture of this boy. Also, like, I'm not even interested in it. But the thing is that now the environment which is being created, it's very distracting. Whenever I say that I want to, like, after completing this exam, I want to look for other opportunities, they say that don't, no, no, don't, please don't leave. अदरवाइज़ ये कि हम बीमार हो जाएंगे अगर तुम चली जाओगी तो, लाइक, हमारा मन नहीं लगेगा घर पे. बट ऑन द अदर साइड दे आर रेडी टू सेंड मी टू सम स्ट्रेंजर्स हाउस. आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड द आयरनी.
Okay, so I made a little bit of a joke there. It's like I don't understand what you said. I wish it was translated in the subtitles. Like I said, obviously she spoke a language there. I didn't know which one it is. I don't know if it's Hindi or another local language. Um, the one thing again, like I said in the last video, is just I wish, like, this is the same thing with with actually within my family as well with my female cousins, is that they're my mom's sister was, I won't say pushing one of my female cousins, but my female cousin knew. She, as soon as she got married, they had the children essentially right away. She went to school for nursing, but she understood that she had a time limit, and she's the one that told me about this time limit. I was shocked. I did not know this. I didn't know females had a time limit, honestly. She told me that. I'm like, what? You're serious? It's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I did not know that. Then another person that also took nursing degree told me that too. I'm like, okay, okay. I swear I didn't know that. And there's probably a lot of females out there who probably don't know this either. But luckily enough, she knew she had she had children. She's, I think, raising them right now as a stay-at-home. And then once they're old enough, she'll go and start her career. So again, the most important thing here is for people to understand that you have a everyone has a time limit on whatever it may be. Even people who go into sports have time limits. It really does. And what I mean by this, if you look at any professional sport, their prime age is like 18 to 30 or something like that. Because once you start getting older, you start slowing down a little bit. Now, I'm not saying everyone, but majority of people do. Then you have these fresh 18 to 20-year-olds that are in their prime physical peak that will be able to outperform you, even with all the experience that you have, that they're just going to be faster, more reactive, quick to respond. So just understand that there's this prime time that you have. There's this time limit on different things in life. Women, sadly enough, you don't have infinite time for, if you want to start a family. Yeah, you can always adopt, but again, it's kind of I think most people want their own biological child. But again, I encourage those who want to adopt as well for later on in life. The thing is though about adoption and later on in life is that babies are, it's weird to say this, but they're selling like hotcakes. Meaning that if you want a baby child to raise from childhood, you probably won't get that. Because obviously most people want to raise a baby from childhood. And then when you start adopting children that are later on in years who have this disconnect because they know they're not your biological parent, they're going to be rough. But eventually they'll warm up to you if you really stick with it. I hear I hear that children who tend to be older to get adopted tend to go back into adoption. I don't know what the rate is. Again, different places have different percentages. So, again, just really wanted to throw out there to be cautious, to be smart about your decision making, because, again, time limit. Everyone's different. If you want to be a basketball player, a cricket player, or a soccer player, or a football player, should I say, you have a time limit. Everyone does. You have your prime time. Everyone has a different time limit, time frame. So be wise about the decision that you make.
So this is going on. So I'm not understanding that I have to finish my degree within 6 months, or should I like change my environment and look for some other opportunities outside? I don't want to be distracted in these things. I want to focus on other important things right now.
See, the foundation does not want to be sued by your parents. First thing. But still, I'll drop you hints strong enough.
Sir, whatever you want to say, you can say. I'm not. I'm not.
It is well known that I speak in a very measured way. No, express myself very modestly. So you would be in your 20s, right?
Yes, I recently turned 24.
24 is voting right, driving license. You can be a lawmaker. You can sit in the legislative assembly next year. You're 24, right? You can sit in the parliament. At the age of 20 or 21, you could be the administrator of an entire district if you clear the UPSC exam. How is it that at 24 you are not mature enough to decide for yourself in your most intimate matters?
I'll make this known. From what I've understand, our brain doesn't fully mature until we turn 24, 26, somewhere around there. So just to give her a little bit of a benefit to everyone who's young, but at the same time, he's not wrong too. It's kind of it is. I will say this. It is a responsibility on our parents to teach us a lot of things. They're supposed to pass their wisdom down to us as children so that we don't make the same mistakes. I would say this. That's the way I kind of feel like whenever in my job we hired a new person. I sat there and I taught them everything I know, and I keep teaching these things to them, and I treat them almost like a child, I suppose you could say. But this is the same thing with these kind of videos, is where in my few years of life that I've lived, I've learned some things. I'm not saying I learned everything, of course not, but there's also this understanding that if you understand, you know some things. It's like human behavior. Again, look, you can say I'm ignorant because I didn't know that there's an expiration date for women in terms of their biological reproduction. 100% ignorant of that. Not anymore, though. That's the reason why I always ask. I always ask questions. I always ask how people fix things, how people do things, what they do, what their options are, because I know there's not just one way to solve a problem. But anyways, I kind of treat this video like that, where I throw the knowledge that I have out there. I'm not saying every hint or knowledge or thing that I give is going to work for everyone. Not absolutely not. But you never know when something like that will come up and may help someone.
Mhm. You can be a pilot responsible for the lives of hundreds of people every flight. If you can be trusted with the lives of hundreds of people every hour, how can you not be trusted with your own life? See, I'm trying to be diplomatic. I'm working really hard at it.
It's not like that. Like in some sense, they are open-minded. Also, like they have been very supportive of my career as well. Like in initial days, when I was like at the age of 20, I started working. I shifted to another city, and they were very supportive. But then when I changed few jobs, and I was like not knowing in which field I have to work for a very long time, so they thought that now my age is 24, and they think that she might not really be very, very serious about anything. They think that marriage is the only way. But it's not like that. It's just, I'm just exploring and finding what I have to do. Like they want everything to go perfect or at the right age. So they have some deadline set. I don't understand that.
And that's what I said in the last video. It just it seems like it makes sense why the parents are the way they are now. It's because they've seen how their daughter acted. They're a bit fearful that their daughter might not become happy because she's so indecisive. And what I think they're trying to do is force her into something, and I think marriage seems to be like the the solution in their mind. It could be, but don't know, you know? You won't know until you try. I mean, it could be her solution, but probably not. The problem is that it's like some deadline set that I don't understand, and there's the problem. Like I said, that a lot of women probably don't know there is a deadline to the family, and that's why her parents are saying, "Hey, get married, have children." At least because with that, she doesn't miss that deadline. She can always start a career. She can always get more degrees later on, but and this is why I was pushing this in the last video and the earlier part of this video, is that there is certain things that have deadlines. If you want to be a cricket player, you have to focus on that when you're young because that's going to be your prime. If you want to be a sports player in general, your prime age is 18 to 30 or something. I don't know what the upper limits of that is. Everyone's different. Some people go to their 40s, I'm sure. But generally speaking, if you look at all the, I'm sure cricket players, football players, and basketball players, they're all relatively between the age of 18 and like 30 probably. Once they get past a certain age, they're just not as, even though they're top tier players still compared to the relative public, but to the younger folks, they've kind of had to step down because of the age. Again, there are other careers out there where your age doesn't matter. You don't have to be so responsive so quick that you have all the time in the world. You could even work at it when you're 60 or 70 years old. Those things that you can work on later on in life. So again, it's everyone has to make their own decision on something, and I hope that people don't regret the decision that they make. As long as you're as long as you make the wise choice and understand there are deadlines on some things. Yeah, there are, like, I do hear stories of American football players um, who go back and says, I wish I'd done these things differently. I could have been in my prime in football, American football." But that time has passed, even though they're like 23 or 24 years old, just because they would have to go back to college and start there, and then once 4 years go by, they're 28 to 30 years old, and at that point, you're almost retirement age. And you won't even be starting on a line. It takes about 2 to 4 years, probably, depending on how good you are. And by that point, you're just too old. So everyone has a deadline with something.
I don't understand. Is it a problem within me that I'm not able to achieve those things in a very early age? Or it's something else?
It's a tough question, though, for sure.
Parents want things to go perfect for their daughters,
Children,
uh,
of
right?
course.
Just as they always knew what was perfect for them. Yeah? For you to know what is perfect for the other, you should have known at least what is semi-perfect for you. I'm not talking about your parents in particular. Parents. Look at the lives of parents. How close are they to perfection? How many of you are results of perfect alliances? Do we know what perfection means? Do we know what it means to live a fulfilled life? And if we do not know these things for ourselves, is it love to impose these things on our sons and daughters? In my own life, I've very clearly seen I do not know anything. The fact is that I'm a goddamn fool. And yet I want my offsprings to live as per my decisions and desires. Is that love? I was trying to be diplomatic.
I think a bad pause. I think it's not necessarily that the parents know the right decision. I think they want to push. I think it is a cultural thing for sure. I think they just want to push their daughter into a direction and hope that it's correct. I think it's a pretty high chance that it is right. Um, because I do believe majority of women do want a family. I didn't say overwhelming majority, but I do believe the majority of women do want family. They just a lot of them don't realize it until later on, and they regret missing out on that opportunity, and because of society and culture and media and etc. There are some women out there who are happy not to have a family or to take care of other people's family, like their sisters or brothers' family. They're very much happy to be with them and to take care of their niece and nephews. I'm trying to remember the terminology there. And that's fine too. But I think there's far fewer women of that, but I do believe that's a growing number though, especially in the Western world.
You guys will get in trouble very soon.
Answer, sir. It's
You're
not like
24,
that.
right? Today you are asking me these questions. Tomorrow you decide to go by your parents' wishes.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Did she make a demand there? Hold on.
Answer, sir. It's
You're
not like
24,
that.
right? Today you are asking me these.
Answer, sir. It's
You're
not like
24,
that.
right? Today you are asking me these questions. Tomorrow you decide to go by your parents' wishes. Next year you are a mama. That's possible. That happens in this country. Will you be a perfect mom? Tonight, this hour, we are mired in confusion. We do not know. Out of this confusion, some random decision gets taken. Very coincidentally, very ignorantly, very randomly. From that decision, you get a baby. And then you want all the perfect things for your baby. Is that realistic? Have we, first of all, bothered to shape our own lives in any way that resembles perfection? Then how will we be perfect as parents? And why must the wishes of parents be taken with such seriousness? I mean, I'm old enough to be the parent of a youngster. And had I been a parent, I wouldn't have wanted the girl or boy to obey my wishes.
But I was gonna say, like, obviously the parents want their child to have a perfect life, but we do hopefully understand that nothing is ever going to be really perfect. We do the best that we can. And my example is that, what if Acharya Prashant was your father? Wouldn't you want his wisdom to be passed to you? Like I said, he doesn't want his children
To obey my wishes.
obey his wishes, but you would hope that it passes wisdom to you so that you can make decisions for yourself. This is what we hope that, and this is what I said a little bit earlier again about how our parents are supposed to pass their wisdom down to us, not necessarily tell us what to do. Obviously, in the past, they had to, because if you want to start fire, this is how you do it. If you want to track and kill that animal, this is how you set up the trap, and this is how you lead the trap. You know, there are certain things you do have to tell them what to do. Um, how to swim, how to cook, how to wash your clothes, all these things are things that you do have to tell them, but to live life, you have to give them wisdom. Because what's been thrown at them in life, you cannot tell them exactly what to do because it's always going to be different. So we do have to separate the fact of what we do have to tell them to do: wipe your butt, flush the toilet, and take a shower. Things you have to tell them to do, and things that you hope that they pass wisdom to you so that you're wiser in the everyday activities and life itself.
Mostly because I know I can act a huge idiot at times. Many times. All right, most times. So why would I throw myself at someone who is 20 or 25 and ask them to my line?
To my line?
I mean, let's have some honesty at least. We are not talking to someone who is 5 years old. We are talking to a 25-year-old. And the parent is 45 or 50 or 55. In terms of consciousness, both are equals. Right? How does one of them then get the right to dominate the other's mind? And also, again, at the risk of being portrayed a dreaded family breaker or somebody, all these excuses that daughters come up with in defense of their parents. No, my parents are not totally evil. They gave me a decent education. This is nonsense. Decent education so that you can be married off? How is that very different from keeping somebody uneducated so that she can be married off? The purpose is the same. Of what use is education when the FLPR in the country is continuously declining?
What? Oh.
And
Force participant in India has been historically low. LFPR, labor force, labor more per. Anyways, for women age 15 and above, 42% and according to definition, and the rate has fallen dramatically too. Well, I can see a positive to this. The reason why being kind of like it's the kind of the opposite in the United States. I don't know what I think the work population is about equal here. So you're gonna ask me, it's like, how can I see this as a positive? So here's the only way I can see this as a positive. Well, one of the ways I can see it as a positive is employment opportunities. So the biggest issue in America is that there's so many people looking for jobs that there's not enough job creation to essentially hire everyone who's unemployed. So it's kind of like the best example I could give you is like this. imagine a city. There's only 100 jobs open. There's 100 jobs open, but there's 1,000 people looking for a job. So what's going to happen is this 1,000 people are competing for this 100 jobs, and they're going to keep asking for lower and lower and lower wages because there's only 100 jobs available. I need a job. I need to pay my bills. So I need to I was going to outpay, but I need to outdo my competitor so that someone will hire me so I can get paid. Now, it's not to say that hopefully these women are not just homeless. That would be a different issue completely. But if these are just homemakers and they're living a comfortable life and this is what they want, that's a good thing. Again, so in America, it used to be one household. I believe it was like a one-income household because women did stay home for the most part. There were secretarial jobs. I wouldn't doubt the work percentage is probably like this during those early years of I said American Revolution, but during the American industrial age, I guess it is what it's called, where literally because there's so many jobs, because there's so many jobs open that businesses had to. It's like, hey, come work for me. I'll pay you $50 an hour. It just work. Oh, it's paying 50. 55 right here. 55 right here if you want to work for me. 55, 60 plus PTO and family medical leave. 3 PTO days a year though. 5 PTO days a year though. So you get what I'm trying to say here. Again, it all depends on the job market. So if there's say again, let's do that example. Let's say there's 1,000 jobs open and only 100 people looking for jobs. Guess what these jobs are going to do? They're going to increase their pace. Like, hey, come here. We do $60 an hour and 5 PTO work weeks, and yeah, we're outselling everyone here. So yeah, $60 an hour. Come here. That's the positive thing. Again, all depends. Like if they're declining because of something else entirely, like not because it's by choice, then there's a problem. But if it's by choice and they're not homeless, but they're living a good life, say have a family life with a good husband, well, or wife, I don't know if it's progressive like that over there, just whatever. If they have a good spouse that's providing for them, no problem. As a matter of fact, the wages, like I said, with that example, the wages are probably going to go up because there's not enough people in the workforce, so the wages are going to try to attract people to come work for them. United States a bit differently. You have a lot of women who are in the workforce, and a lot of them are not really liking it because from some examples I've seen, they're getting tired, they're exhausted, they don't want to do that anymore. They want someone to provide for them. Not all women, of course. There are women out there who are freaking CEOs, starting their own business and doing great and fantastic. Again, as long as everything's willing and so long as there's no homelessness issue or whatever trouble there is, so long as they're doing fine, I don't see a problem with that. Just because even if it goes to 5% women workforce, if 95% of them are home, happy, and enjoying life, no problem in the workforce, in my opinion. Even if that goes reverse to male population as well. So a low number doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It can, but also can't. Doesn't. Doesn't mean a bad thing. Again, I don't know why it's going down. It could be maybe a lot of them are going overboard, going to other countries because there's not enough opportunity maybe in some countries like in my country. Um, this is kind of the thing with how I learned about my cousins. A lot of female tend to be shipped out. They are getting into nursing. They're getting into what's the other one? Hospitality. I remember 20 years ago going back home, and they tell me, it's like, oh yeah, we're getting into nursing because that's what they're looking for in the world. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. You know, it makes sense. You know. Then 10 years after that, I went back again. Oh yeah, we learned now it's hospitality. They're looking for that one. It's like, oh, okay, that's weird to change. It's like, how do you know this? It's like, yeah, our schools keep up with what's needed around the world, and you know, they talk to people who go into colleges to get an education, to get degrees into these things, so that they have a higher chance of being exported out the country. So that could be another reason why, you know, it's fallen. It's not because women aren't getting jobs. It's because women are going elsewhere to get jobs. Again, what the truth is, I don't know. I'm just making possibilities here as the reason why it's fallen. Either they're maybe staying home and loving their life. Hopefully that's the case. Or maybe they're going across seas and finding jobs elsewhere. I know a lot of over here in the United States, there are a lot of Indian doctors. Like, it's crazy the amount of Indian doctors that are in the United States. In the two states that I lived in, they're among the highest paid doctors. Indian doctor, you know, they're getting paid a lot of money here. It's really crazy. So again, it's kind of like that where I do believe I don't know if it's true now. I don't work in a hospital anymore, but I wouldn't doubt it that a lot of people are coming from India over here. I believe Sadhguru talked about it. Dang, I talked a lot again. I'm so sorry. But again, I had to get that out there. I don't want to necessarily look at this as a negative thing. It could be, but I'm hoping for the betterment of it, that they're happier staying home, hopefully the pay increase too with that because there's less people in the workforce, or that there are in fact going across wherever there is to have better opportunities.
Women are more educated today than they ever were.
Yep, even the United States too, with that statement.
more educated, and yet dropping out of jobs.
Okay. Any women's literacy rate increased by 60% the Independence Report. As per the government measures Independence Report, it's the most literate state in the country. Third most literate state in the country is lowest literacy rate 60. Okay, okay.
Why? Because the first priority is the wedding and the man and the baby. That's how the parents have indoctrinated them.
Just to counter him here is my only one disagreement with him. There is a reason for that, though. And we're seeing that in the United States where the parents are saying, oh, no, you can wait later on. Well, not just the parents, but society itself. Say, you wait later on, wait later on. The birth rate is dropping over here. I know India's kind of pushing for that. Again, you can have one baby and still have the birth rate drop. It's kind of like that over here right now where I think white people are at one baby per two, I believe, so it's dropping, or maybe it's somewhere around there. One, maybe. The problem, again, I just want to make that little counter here, and I hope you guys agree with me, but at the same time, again, is that there is a time limit. There is an expiration date. There is a final time frame that you can do this. And that's the reason why it's not like you can hold off indefinitely forever, like a degree or any kind of job. Well, almost any kind of job. Because, again, even jobs have time limits too, but some have no time limits. Getting into an IT, you can be 70 years old working in IT and programming and stuff. Again, I talk about my college days when I went to college. I remember seeing this old person. I'm like, what are you doing in college? Like, I'm bored. I was like, man, I wonder if I'll ever get that bored and just want to go to college just to get a degree in something. Anyways, but yes, there are certain things that have time frames, and I just hope I don't want people to make bad decisions because of the propaganda, whether it is pushing to have a baby or whether it's pushing to say no, you can have it later on. I just give them the facts, make them wise so that they can make the decision for themselves. Don't tell them to hold on. Don't tell them to have it right now. Tell them the truth that there are time limits to things, and that's it. And let them make their decision.
What is the point of education?
Oh.
Just so that the CV looks good? You don't educate someone so that she is more efficient in the kitchen or more productive on the bed. Is that what education is for?
Well, yes, actually. There's the Kama Sutra for the bed, and there's cookbooks for the kitchen. I do have a cookbook actually, and yes, it is for the kitchen. I cook. I want to cook. I want to learn how to cook. I watch YouTube to cook. Actually, you don't have to read it anymore. You can actually listen to YouTube and that. But I do have cookbooks. I do have like flashcards actually too. I want to learn how to make great dessert because I want to be able to provide and give to people and see that they're happy with our cook. Yes, education is for that, and don't get me wrong, it's more than just for that. It's for not so that people can't trick you into things. Like I remember this. I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but this is very, very something. I just remember this one book. I remember reading it. It's a fake story. It's just a storybook, but it proves the point. There's this fisherman going around, a fisherman, seashell shell people going around grabbing pearls, but they don't know what it is. But that's what they hunt, and they sell it to a person for 5 cents, very small amount of money. And then that person buys it for him, saying, "Oh yeah, these are useless, but I'll still pay for them." And then he turns around and sells them for like thousands of dollars because they don't know any better. And then I believe they use like a scripture to keep them in place, saying, "If you don't obey me or if you don't do this, the God in the heavens and the gods or whatever will cast down bad luck on you." So so education is not just about getting a job, but it's about not being tricked into things as well. So it's more of the baser terms too, with the high level stuff too. You just don't want it to think it's just purely high level for an education. It's so that you're not tricked into things. Hopefully.
If all these years of education are going to be ultimately eaten up by household chores, what have parents educated their daughter for?
I'm sorry, I keep looking at that little thing in the far right corner over there. He keeps twirling, and I keep looking over there. It catches my eye. I'm distracted.
Go out and check on this particular metric. FLPR, female labor participation rate.
Female labor participation rate. Okay. The mystery of Indian female labor force participation rate. Indian female labor rate. Age 15 and over. Government estimate. Oh, that's the gray line, or the slightly faded line. Is that? ILO estimate. Okay. So the gray line, the one that's going up, is government estimate, and the one that's kind of steady and has a little spike is the ILO estimate. Ministry of Statistics and Program Implement years ending June. So, well, so it's going up, at least according to government, right? So the participation rate is higher, going higher according to the government's estimate. According to ILO, there's a spike going up since 2020, and then around 2023 it dropped. It dipped from what looks like 33% to about 31%, so a 2% drop participation rate. So that's not too, I mean, it's a drop, but drops happen. We need a little bit more, but we can see that it clearly went up, then it went down, then it went up. And then for the government estimate, it looks like it just, it's taken off. So since 2020, it's at its highest so far. So that's a good thing.
There is something happening culturally in this country, something very, very vicious.
I just wondering if they take into account, like, if female leave the country. Because I'm sure they probably take the statistic like everyone's getting this education, but then it's like, okay, this person, we don't see them in a job labor, so we don't have like tax and stuff, I guess. I don't know how the government over there works, but I don't know if you get a job, then you sign up with, you have a government ID like I do. I have whenever I have my tax ID, so that when I file my taxes, the government knows I'm working and this is my, how much I have to pay them or they pay me. So I don't know if that's done over there to keep track of it. And if it is, so it's like, oh, this person has this government tax ID, but they didn't file anything. They have no job, so I guess they're not participating. But in reality, they probably maybe moved to another country. I don't know if that's taken into account. That's my question.
Proportionally, more women were part of the workforce 20, 30 years back. The cultural environment is degrading in a direction that is discouraging, probably even forbidding or threatening women away from the workforce, the workplace. And you say, DU English honors. What's the point? What's the point? And I respect the household jobs. But you also know that had the household jobs been of paramount importance, the men would have taken them. And it does not take a genius to figure out the total financial value, monetizable value of all the household jobs that you do. You can add that up and see what it comes to. Is that what you got educated for? They say, there is great dignity in household work. Yes, I understand there's great. Let the men do it. Why do the men want to be deprived of dignity? Then their final vulgar argument is, then will the men give birth and breastfeed? This is what the argument ultimately comes to.
Well, in the jeez, I'm talking too much already. In the United States, I need to stop talking honestly, and just kind of be quiet because I'm getting to that hour point again. Can't have that happen again. In the United States, the problem is if you look at the workforce, you can split what men majority take and what women majority take. What a lot of the women take, at least in the United States, are very supportive jobs like clerical, nursing, and all this other things. Don't get me wrong, some of them are in fact needed to keep the country running. Like nursing for sure is absolutely great, but a lot of clerical work not necessarily. But trust me, if any of them goes missing, there's going to be a lot of issue with taxes. But then you have what men typically do, which is like sewer work or paving roads or creating highways or business, like a business, building and stuff like that. Things that infrastructure essentially. That if they stop doing infrastructure, I don't know how many women wants to get into those jobs. There's a reason why not a lot of women get into that. When you start looking at certain videos, you can see that a lot of women don't like to get into those jobs. You can say that there are some women who do, but there's not enough. It's the problem. So there's kind of, if you look at even I think Sweden, they had a breakdown of the jobs. If you look at, I think probably most countries that can keep up with the statistics on these things, you'll see that there is kind of a split. So long as it's very egalitarian, you'll see there's kind of a split, and a lot of women from different places roughly take the same type of jobs, roughly. You look at kind of, I guess you could, I don't know if they call it blue collar work or something, but like jobs that require a lot of physical labor tends to be mostly men. Jobs that are like mostly sit down or inside buildings, generally speaking, mostly women. Is there only men? No, mostly men. Is there only women? No, it's mostly women. There are, hell, I have an inside job myself. I'm not outside. I have a very comfy sit down job. But again, like I said, mostly. Would I work outside if I had to? Absolutely. But a lot of if you there's certain videos out there where they ask men and women certain questions, and you can kind of see their mentality. Now, if they had to do it, would they? I think so. But again, I don't think there's just enough, and that's the problem. So the reason why this the cleaning in the house is done by women for the most part, even though both people obviously needs to freaking clean, is because it's not something that's essentially physically difficult. And for in the United States, men also do participate in cleaning the house. It's the outside of the house. It's the repair of the house. That's their responsibility. They protect the house. They cut the grass. They weed eat the grass. They take care of the yard. They take care of the car. A little bit more of the guy type of things. So there is split responsibility. Women's tend to be inside the house. Men's tend to be outside the house. Again, it's never going to be an even split, but at least they have their responsibilities even within the house themselves. And don't get me wrong, guys shouldn't be just trashing things on the floor. They should freaking put things where they belong. And another thing that guys apparently stereotypically do in the United States, take out the trash, which is fine. I mean, you're sharing the work here. And man, when I throw out some stuff, it stinks in the garbage can. It's mostly because of the meat things that they sit in, and I throw that away. Anyways, I think I need to stop talking because there's still 10 minutes left, and
I'm just trying to be diplomatic, holding myself back.
Sir, like I also love traveling a lot. So recently, I shared that I want to travel to from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and I have decided everything, like which buses I have to take, from where I have to travel, everything. And I want to do a solo trip first time. So my parents were very shocked, and my father said that first talk to Tauji, and if he approves, then you can go. Then we will see. So I was very angry on that. I also discovered like what Tauji has to do with this. If
yeah.
I have to go on a solo trip.
Well, first of all, who is Talji? I don't know if this is some kind of security guard that says, yeah, right now that place looks like it's safe for people to travel to. It's not in a war zone or something like that. If that's Talji, then yeah, definitely go talk to him. See, make sure that place is safe. But it's still he can't decide whether you go or not. It's still up to you. But you should take information before you go. If this is some, I have no idea who this person is. If it's your brother, you can talk to him about like if it's safe or not. If that happens to be the case, like safety, obviously you should know. If that place is safe, then what does that have to do with you talking with anyone? This is if you're paying for this. This is all you. It's really weird to parents. Parents are probably really traditional here. It seems to some degree, not completely, but
I understand, like, it's a joint family and everything, and it's a Banya family, and everybody gets married till 25. So, my brother, who is like 1 year older, he has already got married. Now, everybody is just looking at me. Agli baar Divya kiya hai, Divya kiya hai. So, every time they have the same thing. Like, whenever I visit them, Agli baar to tumhari hi hai. So, in this environment, I'm thinking that in March, when my exams will get over, then I will see if whatever I have in my hand. I'm just not thinking about it currently.
Listen, lady, this ugly word, this world understands only the language of power. Huh? Your Tauji, he might be 60 or whatever. But if there is a 25-year-old with enough financial heft, your Tauji will go down. You could be in some industry at the age of 22, 24, earning a fat package, and then people are less likely to get into your business.
I don't know about that one. Her parents would probably still be pushing for the marriage thing. It's not. I don't think that her parents look at her in terms of whether she's successful in business or not. I think her parents are more concerned about her getting married and having a family. I think regardless of whether she's making $65 billion a year or $1 a year, I don't think that's what their parents' mindset are on. In my opinion, it seems like they're really focused on her marriage, regardless of what job she has. Because it seemed like she said, explained a little bit earlier, where they're very supportive, meaning that they did let her do those things, but one thing they noticed about her is that she was very indecisive. So that's what the parents probably picked up on, is that she's so indecisive that she may end up regretting later on in life that due to her indecisiveness that she'll pass up or miss something. And I think the parents know that that careers are things that you can't really pass up for the most part, because you can start your career at any point in your life. Um, and you can get degrees even when you're 60 years old. So there's no time. Like I gotta go back to the time limit and end of stuff. I think the parents know this. I just think the parents are probably have like a kind of a bad way of communicating, and I think we all kind of have a communication issues sometimes. I try to be clear as possible, and whenever I talk to my friends and my coworkers, I always try to make sure they understand. I try to explain as best as I can, but I know it's not always the best, but it's the best that I can do. So I don't think the parents is necessarily about the money. It's probably more about the family, because again, she as female, she does have a time frame of when she can have a child. I don't know whether she wants one or not. If I think the important question is, do you want to have a child? Like, I think she did. I think she did might have answered at the very beginning, but I can't remember. If she does, then that time frame is very important. If she does not, she has to be aware of that when she comes later on in life, and she has to remember that she has made that decision. She can still regret it, but she has to be. She has to. I don't know how to say. Live with the decision that she makes. Essentially, she can always adopt for sure, but yeah.
They'll stay away and respect their limits. You could be an IAS at 21 and you can have 50-year-olds reporting to you. And all those 50-year-olds will be somebody's Taujis and Pupajis and Mamajis and Papajis. Gather power for yourself in whatever way you can. If you remain feeble and dependent, this ugly world will simply eat you up. They'll throw you away somewhere, and that would be the end of their role, and they'll not come to inquire, investigate, or help.
It's kind of weird to say seek power. There's in the Western world there is a saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Keep everything else off your mind. Build yourself up and gather strength. This is a very loveless world. It knows only the language of power.
He's not wrong, but at the same time there are many forms of power. There's not just strength in solo. There is also power in your family and in your friends, where you could have, how do I say? I get to make it short because I talk too much. If you are friends with an entire group of people in a company and the boss has power over you, and the boss says, "Oh, you're fired," and then you have this major influence on the people, and you say, "Hey, let's all step out." The entire people will step out, and the boss is now submitting to you. So you say, "No, please come back because I need someone to work here, and I can't hire enough people quickly enough and train them to do the jobs that I need you to do." So power comes in different forms.
Tauji will sanction your travels. And it's quite likely that Tauji's boss is a 30-year-old. And he sanctions Tauji's leaves. Be that boss.
That's kind of weird, though, to say that.
Attain a similar position.
Use your power.
Then they forget all their gender-based prejudices. They also forget caste hierarchies. Everything is forgotten in front of power and money and authority. That's the only language they understand.
It's almost like he's encouraging a little bit of corruption here. I mean, I get what he's trying to say, because if you don't follow Advaita Vedanta, this is what the world is. It is, in fact, about power and authority and influence. It's kind of weird to encourage that kind of thing on a person, to say, disobey your parents and accumulate power and show them that you're strong. I don't know who Tauji is either, so if you
Forget
can
that
let
you
me
are a
know.
bunny or anything. A woman has no caste. She only has a body. That's the world we live in. To the world, you are a womb. What, they want you to get married so that you can play little cute games with the man? What else is marriage? Go procreate. Get us a few toys to play with, in the name of furthering the clan. If you are well educated, use your education for your empowerment. And that power will give you the leverage to live life on your own terms.
It's very strange here, because I know he talks about using your skills to benefit others, and then here he's saying gain power to benefit yourself. and again, I get it in term if you separate Advaita Vedanta and in terms of the world, which is what he's speaking about right now, where in a sense power does speak, but not all the time. With family, it's not always necessarily about power. If if the family was pointing out about finding a good job, then it'd be about the money, I do believe. But they're talking about marrying someone, not about money and not about power. In my opinion, again, I don't know the whole story. We're only hearing from her perspective, and we don't know why the parents are kind of pushing for that. Maybe they do have a legitimate concern. It's like, hey, you have a time frame, but at the same time, her indecisiveness is the problem. I guess is because she probably doesn't know if she wants a family or not. And again, there's that time frame, that time limit. If you pass it up, that's it. It's done. It's over with. You have no decision to make anymore. You're done, regardless of whether you have or have not. And I do believe she needs to. She's in this exploration phase. It seems like it. She wants to go this way. She has many different jobs. She's quit them. So there's this exploration phase that she has. And again, this is happening in the Western world too, where there are women out there. It's like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this before I take my life too seriously. While I'm young, I want to explore these things and explore life. And they're essentially, I won't say wasting the best years of their lives, but to some of them they are, because if they want to start a family, they need to take that seriously from the beginning, because it's it's kind of hard and for women to find a good man, and for a man to find a good woman. And these good women and men tend to find themselves when they're relatively young, and they stick together. So all these good men and good women are being snatched up, you could say. And the men that are out there saying, "Oh, I just want to have fun until I'm in my 30s," and the women out there are saying the same thing. They're finding themselves being a little bit alone, or finding terrible men and women in their lives.
Else, anybody, everybody will ride roughshod over you.
Well,
Will ride roughshod over you. And you will internalize it. One resists only to the point. There is a point in resisting. No? And after that point, what do? You succumb, you surrender. You give in to the situation. You start pretending as if you are in the situation by choice. In fact, you start siding with your hunters. You start acting as if your oppressors are your well-wishers. Because you know very well, there is no point resisting anymore. You flip sides. Let that not happen to you. Women die a very early death internally. After that, they are just machines of flesh. Eating, reproducing, entertaining and getting entertained, talking gibberish, and spewing venom on anyone who dares to show them the mirror. At 24, you're talking to me and you are ready to at least lend an ear to what I'm saying. It's possible at 34 you hate me. It's possible at 34 you say, this man is evil. Avoid him at all costs.
And I can see that, and some women are gonna thank him. I mean, that is kind of the world we live in. Like, even for me too, I'm sure, no matter what anyone says, regardless of whether intent's good or bad, there's just people out there who just hate, and hate in general.
Because at 34, it is very possible that you will be very, very deeply invested in this same traditional system. You will be so deeply invested, you will know there is no way out. So you will want to pretend as if you have willingly chosen to be in that system. And you will pretend so deeply, you will believe in it. and you'll believe in the hatred you'll have for me. A lot of women hate me from their guts. If they find me, they'll slash my throat. Extremely visceral hatred. You know why they hate me? They hate me because I didn't come to them when it was time. They hate me for coming too late to them. They'll not accept this. When I say this, they'll scoff at it instead of acknowledging. But the fact is, every 15-year-old needs to listen to this. Or else it will be too late. I was supposed to be diplomat. You will get me in jail more than later. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Again, the only thing I can say is that no one should ever tell you what you can and cannot do. You should listen to people's advice, absolutely, 100%. I guess the one thing since that I learned from this video about my way of thinking and what I've learned from my cousin and from this other person is that, and again from this video too, is that what I said about time frames. There is time frames that are limited, that once that moment's passed, you cannot get it back. So the best thing anyone can ever, one of the best things anyone can tell you is be mindful of those time frames. Understand those time frames. Some don't have time frames, and that's great. That means at any time you can do it. Some do have a time frame, so you have to be mindful. If you want to do that, be mindful of the time frame. Some have longer time frames, some have shorter time frames, but again, that applies still to those time frames, long or short. It's not infinite. I mean, even our life is a time frame, so make sure you do what you want in that time frame. There is no infinite time frames. Now, mind you, if you believe in reincarnation, how do I say this? Your body, your mind, and your ego is in a time frame. Your consciousness, your pure consciousness, let me speak in Acharya Prashant's term, pure consciousness, who you are, is never dead. It's an infinite time frame. So that's something your pure consciousness has nothing to worry about. But in terms of this life or this ego, it's on a time frame. So do with that what you will. Just understand it and then be happy with the choice that you make. Try, I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory to everyone, I'm sure. Try not to make too many regrettable decisions. We all have. I think so. I know I have. Definitely know I have. But try to minimize it, of course. And then with the decisions that you make that you regret, well, hopefully you can teach that to other people. It's like, don't do this because I regret not doing this, or I regret doing this. Don't tell someone to do it or not to do it, but to encourage them to say, hey, look, I failed to do this. I wish that someone told me, it's like, hey, look, you have a certain time frame for this. Either do it or don't. And be mindful of that decision that you make. I did it, or I didn't do it because I thought I had all the time in the world, and I realized I don't. Now I regret not doing it because I didn't know I had a time frame. Again, not everything has a time frame, but it's based on your lifespan. But I'm talking about things that are less than your lifespan. So anyways, I hope I'm clear. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any opinion on that, please leave it in the comments. I am open to read them, especially what you think about what I've said, if you want to say anything at all. So anyways, if you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, the sign down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next vid.